Okay, so um, I was going through and doing some work, and I realized that I have missed a step. I started talking about tech cards, and I hadn't even talked about what the core of the deck is. So, because tech cards usually either amplify what you're doing or try and counter what your opponent is doing, and I need to have at least some sort of perspective when talking about tech cards to relate them back to like what we're even doing in the deck. Um, and then also, I guess, just a quick baseline for what the deck is doing. And that is really just getting angels and really getting free angels. So, Prism ability, when a Herald goes to Soul, you get to search for Figment and put it into play. Um, then, with the activated ability, you get to awaken it and turn it into an angel. At least ward 4 that you're going to get out of this. Um, Empyrean Rapture, the chess piece that came out with New Prism, makes that ability free if a Herald has gone to Soul. So it's just everything. Herald going to Soul covers everything. It searches you the Figment and it makes the flip free on your turn. And then we have the new weapon. This is just kind of miles better than the old weapon. Getting to base your deck around yellows is a lot better than basing it around blues. It lets the Figments not be complete duds where your deck just doesn't work on them. Like, it was just a huge quality of life upgrade for the deck building, and just made everything smoother. But it also means that we can attack with 2 Heralds each turn, pretty much. Like, it makes it much easier to attack with 2 Heralds every turn, giving us twice the threat to get a Herald into Soul, because they all have on hit go to Soul, except for second. All the ones we want to use in aggro plans, or I want to use in aggro plans, excuse me, have on hit go to Soul. So we want to have as many opportunities for that as possible, and the kind of sweet spot for that is 2 when you have a 4-card hand. With that in mind, we need a yellow to go to pitch zone every turn to give the first one go again. Luminaris Angel's Glow gives us go again on our first Herald and Angel attack each turn. That is an and, as long as there is a yellow card in your pitch zone. So, with that in mind, like taking these 4 cards, we have our yellow. This is our pitch card. This is our first pitch card. We have to pitch this card. We can't do anything else. Now, that will also pay for one of the Heralds. But then we need to take our second resource card. This can be yellow or blue then, and pay for our second Herald. And we want to have ideally one more resource than the Herald's cost. So a 2-cost Herald and a 2-cost Herald will want to have a yellow and a blue. This lets us pay for Phantasmal Footsteps if we need it. This is our baseline that we're looking for. We want a yellow in every hand for go again, and we want Heralds to threaten on hits, because getting free ward 4 turns this first Herald into 7 plus 11. Go again. 2-card 11 with go again is very good when it hits. And then the second one is not going to get an angel. It's once per turn to activate Prism. But we still want that second threat. We still want that extra card into Soul. So, we start filling out the deck. And we're putting Heralds in it. That's what the deck wants. That's what we're trying to do. That's how we're going to get our value. And the essential ones, Fortune, in the other Herald's aggro video, I talk a lot about this. It's just the most efficient way. We have to do this. 1 cost is actually just insane for doing this. It's super efficient. So we put all 9 in. I don't see any lists without it at this point. Herald of Triumph. This is these are just like the 9-ups. These are the auto includes at this point for basically any Prism list. Even Mono Rapture especially, but like even the Switch lists are going to be on all 9 of these. Triumph lets you just dodge any incidental poppers. Command and Conquer, Weakest Link, Erase Face, Summer's Fall, Cadaverous Tilling, any of those. Herald of Triumph gets you around and cannot have its Phantasm triggered by those attacks. This makes blocking much more awkward, makes it much harder to stop it from going to Soul, pairs very well with Angelic Wrath. This Herald has just been an all-star, and it's just absolutely, like, it's overperformed just miles better than it, like, I've heard a lot of OG Prism players talk about this card and how it was just the most underwhelming card that they could put in their deck, and it's just an absolute all-star in New Prism, because on hit go to Soul, on a Herald, is worth so much more in this deck. So just incidentally getting around poppers with also Puffin and Marlin and Gravy Bones now coming into the meta as of the time of recording this. This is just still a staple. It's so good. It's such a useful effect. And you can, if you sequence it properly, you're going to get Herald. You're going to get it to hit when, like, you're going to be able to sneak it past your opponent. So, and like, sort of. Your sequencing with Herald of Triumph is really important. Herald of Protection. I think this is just a 9 of no matter what since Hunted release, with Flick Knives becoming a much more prevalent thing, plus just daggers in general, and a lot of 1 breakpoints. Herald of Protection on hit, make a Spectral Shield. An extra Ward 1 to help guarantee the value, the Ward 4 on your Angels is super important. It's been super useful. The games where I find 2 or 3 of these compared to the games that I don't are just night and day. They're just so different. It's multiple cards of value different when I have that one Spectral Shield. And then Herald of Erudition. This is the big scary one. It's the most powerful one. Dominate, on hit, draw 2, go again, and Soul. Yeah, we're going to run it. Yeah, I don't talk about this card much just because it's so powerful already. Just pair it with Dreamweavers and put a Wrath on it. It's so good. This already gives us 30 cards in the deck. All of these at 3 copies in each color gives us 30 cards in the deck. This is a lot of the core. This is 30 Heralds already. It's 9 reds, 9 blues, and 12 yellows. Like, this is a large chunk of the deck already just because we need Heralds. And these are the best. These are the most efficient. These are the most valuable. They do the most for the deck. Now, once we have Heralds going to Soul, we need Figments to search out. And these have also been pretty standardized across Prism lists, at least the first 6, basically. In almost every Prism list, you're going to see these. There are some exceptions, but these are the mainstays. Erudition is just the best of them. Ponder, when you get it out, is like another 3 value. Draw 2 is just you're turning a yellow into 4 damage, go again, and another Herald for the cost of an extra soul, which is just, this is an insane rate. You're playing like 3 card like 20s. This is your power. This is one of your power turns. This is just, it goes in. Protection, again, making Spectral Shields when it enters, helping guarantee Angel value. Making Spectral Shields when it swings, helping guarantee its own Angel value. Staple, it's going to stay. Triumph, excellent Halo target. Means a 6 power popper just isn't for one time in the game, which can absolutely just swing the game on its head. And then even on the other side, that -1 on a go wide turn for any ninja can be devastating. It can be a huge amount of value that you get. Even if it's not going to necessarily protect an angel, it's just raw value that you're going to get. So all 3 of these staples, and then Ravages, great Halo target. If people walk into it, they haven't much recently, but still very good, and it's just a great way to close games. So it's just, it has earned its spot. Rebirth, very powerful when paired with other stuff. It is usually not powerful on its own. It requires a lot of pieces around it, but when it works, it works. And even then, just Light of Soul tricking it, or Light of Soul tricking off it, I should say, where like you fetch Rebirth on your first thing, and then set a yellow Herald on top and pitch Light of Soul to your second thing, and that triggers again, and you get to search another Figment, another Soul, and keep going. Super good. Yeah. And then War. I have cut this in the past. I was wrong for doing that. I thought it was a pretty expendable or superfluous Figment. It is not. The Courage token sneaks up on people a lot. Turning yellow Heralds into 7s is really powerful, or 7s into 8s if you need it, but usually turning 6s into 7s is like the big thing. Turning Erudition from a 5 to a 6 is really good. And then War is just your best closer in your Aura games. And it's just it's so valuable for the deck. It's a little quiet on its Figment side, and then it's trying to be very loud on the Angel side, but it's very good. I don't think I should have ever cut it at any point. This brings us to 6 Figments, which is a decent amount, and I don't recommend going below that, just for having a certain number of Angels in your deck and a certain amount of ward value. That's 24 which is a good amount. You have enough turns of heralds hitting to get free angels to get value. 6 is good, but I end up preferring 7 usually. That 7th comes up more often than I thought it would, in all honesty. So with that in mind, we have 2 more that we have to choose from. And first is Figment of Judgment, which is a very specific, has very specific targets. I don't think it's really ever come out because there's always been something that it can target and mess with. How much it messes with the thing varies by meta, by deck, all that stuff. But it's a fine Figment, and if it's your filler, that's also fine. But there's also little stuff you can do with it, like you get hit by an infiltrate, and they flip a herald over, but then you get to hit with the herald, and you can get judgment and flip that face down so they can't play it. Like, you can do cheeky stuff with it, but it is definitely the most situational, and if there's metas where you don't run it, that's fine. The other option is Figment of Tenacity, which is fine. Dominate is all right. It's a sneaky way to close out the game if they don't know you have it, and it's like Ravages like 2.0, where it can extend your reach a little bit, where it's like you wrath a herald over to set them to like 3, and then your second herald comes in with Dominate because you fetched this. The sequencing gets a little weird if you're trying to go Herald, Angel, Herald, but if you're just trying to go Herald into Herald, it's fine. But even then, it's still a little weird to me because the Dominate is, you've already hit for the turn. You've already gotten a Herald to hit. So giving Dominate to the second one isn't like the biggest thing, but if it's like a Herald of Judgment into a Katsu that you're going to put it on, all right. That's neat. I like that. But it's still, having 8 Figments I don't think is necessary. But so I'd still rather choose Judgment over it, but there's some cases where it's fine. If Judgment was just literally unplayable and had no targets, yeah, Tenacity can come in. It'll be fine. If it's just a blank Figment, blank Angel, cool. That's fine. But that takes us to 7 Figments, which is about where I want to be. I don't want more than that just because you start running into, like, it starts diluting other stuff. But yeah. Equipment. Halo. I'm not sure how much needs to be said about this. I have a video on it. This is the only headpiece we run, or I run. I think it's the only headpiece I've ever run. I don't think I've ever swapped this out. It's just too good. Getting to tutor a Figment is just so good. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to compete with it. The other one might try, and we'll see what happens. The other Halo is pretty good, but Halo of Illumination's it right now. Yeah, I don't know. Getting to just on-demand tutor a Figment, get any of the effects, turn on Rapture, just on-demand search ALS, or search Shariah to play an arc like Sentinel. Like, this headpiece is just so insane. It's so powerful. Yeah. The only shoes that I currently have, the only leg slot, is Phantasmal Footsteps. I don't have Silent Stilettos in at the moment, but Footsteps just do everything the deck wants. It basically guarantees that we can send 2 Heralds in a turn, even through the first Popper, which means to fully stop our turn with Poppers, they need 2. When people start bringing as many Poppers as we're seeing at the moment in some of these decks, I'm very happy to have Footsteps. The blocking stuff is nice. It's not the biggest thing. I don't use it that often, but it's nice that it's there. But really, the action point is just it. Paying 1 for an action point is great. It's super good. It's still just better than the old weapon. So, yeah. Arm slot. This is where stuff gets a little, not necessarily contentious, but just personalized. And that's because our arm slots are pretty weak. Dreamweavers is fine. I'm still a fan of Dreamweavers. Nothing in the arm slot feels really good. They just do slightly different little things for the deck. And Dreamweavers for me has been the kind of go-to, but I also was on Herald of Tenacity a lot, which could influence that. But I've been pretty happy with it. 1 turn of Passing Mirage is often worth a lot. You will find key spots in aggro games where they're at like 10, and you have an Erudition plus a Wrath, or just a Tenacity plus a Wrath, or a War Tune plus a Wrath, but you've got a 5-card hand, and you are able to push on that turn. Like, or just like you find a turn where you think they held a popper. They just like full held an extra card for some reason. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna punish you for that because I think it's a 7 popper or because of whatever. Like, I don't want to halo this. I want to save my halo, or I've already haloed. I still like Dreamweavers a lot. They do fine. Uh, I'm happy to have them in a decent number of matchups right now, but they're probably actually not my main arm slot at the moment. I think my main arm slot is Calming Gesture. This arm slot is really nice. It's just flat good. It's our AB1, which is great. I'm happy to have it as our Arcane Barrier slot. But the pay 1 to make a Spectral Shield, I'm almost never making the Spectral Shield. I don't want to say almost never. I have found myself less and less making the Spectral Shield on their turn, and more making it on my turn when I just have an extra resource floating because I curved out for Footsteps and they didn't have a popper, so I just have an extra resource. But I want to make a Spectral Shield to keep my breakpoints. So then I just have an extra Spectral Shield. I have an extra Figment of Protection in the deck. Is essentially what it is. Which is, it's just become really useful. I've really liked it. I've been big fan of it. Some people are like looking at like Wave of Reality at the moment, and I just don't buy it. It's just, you're going to lose it in the first 2 turns anyways. Your deck doesn't block well enough. You don't have enough good enough blocking armor. Like, I just want the Spectral Shield when I need it. The Spectral Shields are there to guarantee angel value. They're there to guarantee or maximize the chance that I get 4 ward on this angel. That's how we get above rate, is that our angels get 4 ward in aggro matchups. This is all like kind of baseline aggro. I don't know. This is just like, this arm slot has just impressed me so much. Just like getting a Spectral Shield, going to 1 and 4 ward on the board is just, it's been fantastic. I've really loved it. There's a couple other potential, like, there's some other arm slots that I'll cover later in other tech videos, but yeah, these are the 2 that are just kind of like staples in my mind. Weavers is in and out of some people's lists, but Calming Gesture is a staple for everyone because it's just better Null Rune at the very least. But with Flick Knives decks, it's become even better, I think. So, unfortunately, also core to the deck are some Fableds. Light of Soul, I think, is core. It is just so powerful for us. The floor of it being a yellow in our hand is the same as the floor of a Figment. That's just it. If you're going to put Figments, if you're going to have an issue with Light of Soul being in your hand when it misses, you have an issue. You need to have an issue with Figments being in your deck and drawing them, because they're the same when they're in your hand. Except when Light of Soul hits, it's a free angel. Like, it's just, the upside is so powerful, and the downside is something, like, the floor is something we're just already used to in the deck. I'll go a little bit further on that, I think, in a bit. But the other, like, kind of staple is Library. We use this card very well, I think. It's very powerful. We're a deck that snowballs a board state, and this gives us an extra card every turn to snowball. And then it's just, like, so difficult for anyone to keep up with our snowball, like, once we're going. And Library just, like, puts the game out of reach for them, like, so effectively. It's so powerful. I wish it wasn't this powerful. But it really just warrants the spot. As just, like, the power card now that since Tome has been gone. So, these are staples. If they're not in the Prism lists, I'm very surprised. Or they probably don't own them. Or a package. If you're on a Vestige Switch list, which not all are, Leo Vesne at London did not have an Aura Switch package. I still run it basically all the time just because I like it, and I think it gives me options in other matchups that Mono Rapture kind of lacks. The staples for that are pretty straightforward. Arclight Sentinel, Genesis Merciful. These just all do exactly what you want. Arclight Sentinel is your power card that you drop in front of your other auras to buy you a turn to develop more auras, to get snowballing, as well as in front of your angels. It's the only way to protect an angel. And even then, it can't always protect an angel. Everyone has Midas touch now, and other people have arcane that can go over the top to deal with angels. So even Arclight Sentinel is not like all powerful, but it's still very good. It's still a staple. It's still worth 3 slots, definitely. Genesis is the engine. We put fuel in it, and we go. Turns on Vestige for the turn, gives us extra soul for angel abilities like Shariah to draw 2 and keep going. Lets us play out stuff like Merciful, suit for cheaper. Merciful is kind of the little glue piece in all of it. If you want more on this, the aura plan video is up there. The blue auras, Passing and Pierce. I think these are only mandatory at 2 ofs, but I strongly advise that you have at least 3 Passing Mirage. I've run into issues where I only had 2, and having to use them early significantly hurt my game plan in the long term. Pierce Reality is a little more expendable, but if you want 3, go for it. Go for it. Just do it. I have no issue with running 3 Pierce. The list is just always a little tight, and then 2 Pierce is usually enough because I think I only need 1 usually. Whereas Passing Mirage, if I have to use 1 early and I am only left with 2, if I'm only left with 1, then I feel like I can have issues. But if I'm still left with 2, then I feel pretty comfortable. But if I use a Pierce early and I'm only on 1 left, I feel okay about that. I think I can still work with that pretty well. Having 2 Pierce left is like fine, but it's not like crazy. I don't know. It might depend a little bit on the meta, because like a Florian Verdance heavy meta, Pierce Reality does better than like a Victor Guardian heavy meta. Which I guess my locals are maybe a little bit more Guardian heavy, or at least I know I have 1 local who's just playing Victor half the time anyways. So I've been running a 3-2 split of Passing Pierce for a while. If you only want to run 2-2, you can, but I strongly recommend 3 Passing Mirage. Yeah. Okay. One thing I forgot to put in, when I'm running the aura package, when I'm running this many of the Yellow Spectra auras, I also put in Vestige of Soul. This is the preferred chess piece when everything's working there, because Rapture isn't online enough when running it, which is unfortunate. We really have to move the deck a decent bit when heralds stop hitting reliably. When the popper count gets high enough, that's why this aura package is in. More on this in other videos, but Vestige is the chess piece of choice for me. It fits the game plan better, which is creating a snowball, and once it's going, it doesn't stop. Vestige gives us more resources when we want the resources, when we need the resources, because we don't need Tunic for, like, the way that I play the matchups, at least, we don't need Tunic for a while. Or we don't need the resources necessarily early on. And so then the Tunic turns are wasted, but then once I want to get going, Tunic only has 1 resource for me, whereas Vestige will give me multiple resources every turn, potentially. So, yeah. Adding that in. So, I've been keeping track of all the counts for everything, but kind of the baseline is somewhere in the range of 10 reds, 16 blues, and the remainder are just yellows. You just fill out the rest with yellows. You don't want too many reds because you want to avoid triple red hands. Triple red hands are disaster. We already get 9 with Wartune, Triumph, and Protection. And then people will add whatever flavor they want of 10th Herald. Usually that's Ravages. Sometimes it's been Tenacity. I liked Tenacity. But Ravages is also still just a very good it's still just a numerically good Herald. With the blues, we typically fill some of that out with Angelic Wraths. We have 9 Heralds plus 5 Auras, so 2 Angelic Wrath will typically be the filler there. And the reason for that is when you have a blue in hand, it makes it popper. You're safe to 1 popper. You can pay Footsteps. Now, I say 21 plus because that's 15 blues plus 6 more Wartune Heralds. Wartune Heralds by themselves mean you can be safe from a popper, or you can pay for footsteps on a popper with double yellow. So we have 21 plus, which is I think is about an 85% chance to have a hand that can pay for a popper, ignoring Arsenal, and also ignoring that probably it wouldn't be surprising once in a game to Halo for Triumph to turn off popper as well. This is a number that I've been pretty comfortable with. I wouldn't mind it being higher, but then the numbers in the deck start getting weird. Really, the only way I'd want this number to get higher is by adding more Wartune Heralds if we had them. Just because I don't want to dilute the rest of the deck, which is yellows, with too many blues. But yeah, yellows, we want one per hand. This is our go again. It doesn't feel good when you draw red, red, blue, blue. But it's honestly not as bad as I thought. It's not as bad as I thought. I've been going through and doing some of the math on what the different hands look like, and their value turn to turn, because this is primarily an aggro deck. It's a turn to turn value aggro deck. And I was impressed by how good a double red, double blue hand still was. I think it's not as bad as I anticipated. And even since doing that math, like when I have them come up in games, I haven't been as worried about it. So, yeah. But still, one yellow per hand. That's where we want to be. Easy send double herald. Keep the threat up. There is value lost when you don't double herald. There is. And also our herald count. I don't see many Prism lists below 36 at this point. I know some dipped down below 33 back when tomes were still a thing, but that was because we had tomes and we were on Vestige into a lot more matchups. And we had stuff like Odarath in the list at some number even at those points, or some of us did. I don't think I did, but I know it was there and it was very good. You just want to fill out as many heralds as possible. 36 plus is where you want to be. I like to be at 40. That gives you like a 1% chance or less of a 0 herald hand or something. And it's just the more heralds, the less the more you're going to minimize your risk of a low herald hand. There's no faster way to lose tempo in a game than to have a 0 herald hand. But all of that is, all those hypergeometric things are ignoring the way you use your arsenal and anything else you like track. But also even like a 0 herald hand, if you have 2 Figments and 2 soul on the board, like you can flip double angel and swing double angel and you're going to get 16 kind of value out of it. Not really, because you can get free flips, which are just worth more, like, but you can still make something of the hand. It's not a good hand. You're not happy with it, but just minimize it. Now, there's one thing in here that I have not talked about as a statistic for the deck, and that is your no block count. I have never tracked this. As long as I've played the deck, I have never actually tracked this. I have never cut a card because it was a no block. I have never avoided putting a card in because it was a no block. I don't think that's a huge factor for this deck. I do not want to be blocking. Our most powerful and our most efficient turns are when we are sending 2 heralds. And could we potentially be more efficient if we could block with 2 cards for like 8 and send a herald? Yes, but it's a lot harder for us to hit in that case. It's a lot harder. It's a lot easier for our opponent to just like block with 2 cards if we don't have a red herald and we just have a yellow for 6 and they just double 3 block. And then like we can block again, but we're never getting up doing that. And the way we get up is by getting a herald to hit every turn. So if they need to block 2 heralds every turn, things get much harder. So I don't care about blocking. I want all 4 cards in my hand to be able to be used on offense every turn. Every turn. That's the most important thing in the deck, is sending 2 heralds every turn. So no block isn't really a factor for me. When people are like, oh, putting more Angelic Rats in your deck, putting more no blocks, I'm like, yeah. Light of Soul? Yeah. Like, yeah, it's a yellow no block. How many of those do we already have in the deck? How many no blocks? We got 5 Wraths, 7 Figments. We're already at 12. I'm not going to notice the 13th. In the Aura plan, 14 with Library, plus 9 Auras minimum, 23. I'm not going to notice the 24th if we add Riches. Like, no block isn't... It's not a metric I have gone by. If it's something you're worried about, go ahead. But the way I look at the deck and the way I play the deck and the way I build the deck, the most efficient thing I can be doing is sending 2 Heralds at every turn. And if I can send an Angel in between, even better. So, yeah. That's kind of the baseline. That's what we're working from. This isn't everything by any means, but this is just kind of the base factors that I'm looking at. So like the red count, the yellow count, making sure as many hands as possible are popper safe, and then do I have enough heralds? Do I have enough stuff? And we have some that are just kind of auto includes. We have staples. So with that, I can get back to doing videos about the different tech cards now that we have a main deck for them to augment. So, sorry this took so long, and sorry I had to kind of reorganize some stuff. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Peace.